Shalom. Hello. I'm a landscape artist living in an area that is perfectly suited for plein air painting. And so this is the beginnings of my journey, sharing with you plein air painting in this beautiful part of the world. And I decided that I'll start with the manufacture of my pochade box, my plein air painting easel and box that I will use in this series. So join me on this journey of plein air painting in the mountains in South Africa, and we'll begin with the equipment necessary, creating it on our own. The box that I will be making is kind of loosely based on the Alla Prima pochade box, so all credit goes to Alla Prima. I'm not copying their design entirely, and I'm not making them to sell, and so I do trust that there's no copyright infringements. Um, but all credit goes to pochade, to Alla Prima pochade, for a large percentage of the overall design of this box. Going through all the various styles and of boxes, this is the one that suits me the best for my purposes. And so join me on this trip of Alla Prima and plein air painting. So here I've cut the sides, the components for the box, the pochade box. The box will consist of a box and then a lid. So the lid will have, so there's a base which is thicker because it's going to have a grommet to screw onto a camera tripod. Then it will have a lid, the lid section and the palette section. So the sides for the box and the sides for the lid. And then the box is going to have two drawers. So there'll be one, the sides will be have a gap for the drawers, and then the palette is rebaited into the sides of the box. So I've cut the rebates with this old rebate plane, not for fashion's sake or for viewer's sake, but because we live up in the mountains with a very small solar system, which is the only source of electricity. And so much of what I have to do with old hand tools, because we don't have sufficient electricity to power the electric tools. So it's better, easier to do your rebates with a router or a bench saw, or by hand, the old rebate plane. Works, this takes a bit longer, a bit more effort. So now I'm just cutting the component parts down to size they need to be. And this is the small of the Prima pochade boxes. This would be the small one, designed for putting in a backpack and taking up a mountain or a hike, or so the smallest, lightest possible for hiking and walking applications. Now I'm cutting dovetail joints for the box, and the reason I'm doing dovetail joints is because I want it to be strong. So carrying it in a backpack this is just cheap pine wood that I've had lying around, and so it's not very, just screws and glues, not very strong with soft pine or soft wood really. So I'd like to have it a little bit stronger, and also dovetail joints are really nice. So for all the woodworkers out there, I understand this is not the neatest, and messed up the last dovetail, so it's not as tight as it should be. That one. That's basically, that's more or less what the box will be like. Then plastic base comes in the bottom, and then I'll have drawers, draw this side and draw that side. Could have just one big drawer, but I like the Alla Prima design, which has drawers on either side, and then it adds workspace on either side of your box, so you can put your brushes and your detergent, whatever, on either side. So this is the coming together slowly but surely. So we've seen the main body of the box with its base on it. So now I'm just testing the fit of the pallet. What I didn't mention was that the pallet goes above the base. So it's, as I feared, I have cut the pallet slightly too small on the one side. So that's where so to put the base in. So that'll be drawers, base, drawers, pallet. So that would be the section where you would put your paints. The lid will be the easel, and that's coming up next. Too short. As I'm gluing it up, this is exterior wood glue, local South African brand, I guess. I don't know if it's international. And I'm using exterior because it feels stronger to me than the usual white cold glue. I don't know if it is true, but for me, I just feel like it's stronger. So, and also, I wouldn't intentionally leave the box in the rain or outside, or but you never know what could happen when you're in the field. So just taking precautions. Again, for all the woodworkers, this is not for sale, and so I'm not worried about the. Even for myself, I'd love to have something as neat and tidy and as really professionally finished off as the Alla Prima pochades, but I don't have the time. So my intention is to get out in the field and start painting, and to use this as to guide and teach plein air painting, realistic landscape plein air painting. So my intention is not to go into manufacturing pochade boxes. Anyway, my point was that I'd love to have something as really nice and finished as the Alla Prima boxes, but beggars can't be choosers. So I'll just have to make my own, and because of time, I need to get it done so that I can get on with the videos I want to do on plein air painting. So that's what I'm really on about, is plein air painting and coaching artists who want to come out and do some plein air painting in this beautiful part of the world. So I'm just doing a quick job to get my box done so that I can have something to work with. I do have a French box easel, but anyone who knows the French box easel knows it's a little bit cumbersome if you want to be hiking. It's not really something you're going to take hiking with you. So to avert my mistake on cutting the pallet too small, I didn't stick it in all the way on the one side, just a little bit in, and so it had a little bit of bite on the other side as well. And the glue will take effect, and then it doesn't take really any weight or anything other than you dabbing your paintbrush. So it won't be a problem. It's nice and tight. It's not gonna cause any issues at all. Now I'm busy with the lid, and these side pieces, this will be a hinge flap, and these side pieces need grooves to take the canvases inside the lid. And the lid is also going to, the groove on the outer level will be the support for the easel. So the last canvas will be face out, and that will be where I paint, and then canvases on the inside can be back to back, and can take hopefully 3 or 4 canvases in the lid, maybe even 5. So of course I had some sun, so I could do the rebates on the box, back to no sun, and so the trick is sharp tool. So back to the rebate plane, and with different size cutters to give me those grooves that I need for the canvases. And I must have a really sharp cutter to get a nice clean groove for the canvases to go into. So sharpen, sharpen, sharpen. Okay, so here's the lid, all glued and nailed. This piece will go in here with a hinge, so it'll open up. It fits on the box like that. And that'll be on a hinge. That opens up, and then that's on a hinge, so that opens up, so you can get your canvases out. Of course, I was greedy, and I tried to fit in as many canvases as possible. I don't know if you can see that there, but I made my grooves a little bit too close together. There's not much gap in between, because I want to try and get canvases back to back. Fortunately, I don't paint impasto. I don't use very thick paint. I paint very smooth, very thin coats on the canvas. So I don't need a lot of gap in between. If they're two paintings facing each other, I don't need a huge gap in between. That is too narrow, though, I would say. Bouncing around and what have you, they're probably going to touch. So I'd probably have to make another plan, and you only use 3 canvases in this box, and fill up a gap somehow. Anyway, that's the idea. You can make the lid thicker, but then your whole box becomes a little bit chunkier. You make the lid too big. So the idea with this box is that you don't have you don't have a lot of paraphernalia that you have to unpack. That's what I like. I don't want to have a bag full of stuff that I need to unpack and set up, and then I can start painting. I want to have a box that's got everything I need in it. Just need my tripod, my box, and I open up, pull out the drawers, and start painting. Um, when you've got limited time, then that is ideal. You don't have a lot of, if you're taking out the whole day and you just take it slow and easy, then fine. But for quick in and out, I want a box that's got everything in it. I don't have to worry about setting up. So I'm putting the hinges on now, connecting the lid and the box together, and these are just hinges that I had lying around. And just so happens that they are nice and stiff, which is perfect. I don't have the adjustable hinges, where so you can set the angle of your easel and your box, so your pallet and your easel can be whatever angle you like if you have adjustable settable hinges. Um, so these hinges I just had here, and it just so happens that they're so stiff that they will adjust to where I want it regardless. So bonus find, otherwise you've got to order hinges. Where we are in South Africa, it's not that easy to just get the right stuff. So real bonus. Pretty cool. I can have so this grommet will go in the back here, and then that is what your camera tripod screws into that. Goes in the back there. Tripod screws into that. So you can set your pallet, whatever angle you like to have your pallet, and then you can set your canvas at the right angle for whatever. So if you like your pallet flat, if you like to have your canvas up at face height, you can set your pallet down. And that is just a bonus that I had those hinges available. Hallelujah. And there it is, mounted on the tripod. Drawers still to come, lid flap still to come, and canvas panels still to come to make those canvas panels. So it just screws onto. I don't have one of those quick clip off heads, so I have to bolt it on every time. So that's a bit of a schlep, but it's not the end of the world. I may need to go buying a new tripod if anything. And it's perfectly at the height to be able to look over the stand and look over the top and see the landscape I'm painting. Okay, so the box is all done, and I'll just put it next to the French box easel so you can see the difference. And as I was saying earlier, the it's a lot more bulky, not something you're going to carry around with you if you're hiking. If you're going from place to place in a vehicle, then no problem. I love the French box easel, and I most certainly will continue using it. But for walking, hiking, going up the mountains, the smaller pochade box is much more useful. And so there I have my backpack that I hike with, and down below there is a smaller, it's really like a chair. I'll show you in a moment, that one would take to a sporting event or something. It's a cooler, really. It's got it's insulated bag, and so you would put your drinks in the cooler and have a chair to sit on. So I was given that by a friend, and I think it'll make an ideal. And it so happens that my box, I didn't measure it that way. It so happens that the box fits perfectly in that chair setup. So just to show you the finished box, notice I put a handle on it, and everything that I have, the hinges, the latch, the handles, everything is all things that I have in my garage lying around, that I didn't have to buy. So I haven't had to buy anything for this box. And the handle is really to hang. So you see it's on screws with just a button, and as you can see, there's like a buttonhole that I've cut in the leather. So I can detach this handle, and I can put my paper towel. I can put my paper towel on the handle. So when I say paper towel, I'm really referring to toilet paper. So a small roll of toilet paper is easier to carry around than a roll of paper towel, and also it's very useful for other things when you're on the trail. So the latch that I had, I actually stole it off another box. So the hinge that I had, so the box now opens, and you see now it has a flap on a hinge, as I was describing before. That flap opens so you can access your canvases. So I'll show you how I made the canvases, and I can in fact fit 5 canvases in this lid. The idea was so that you put them back to back, and so you can fit more canvases in, even wet, so they go back to back, and then there's a gap in between, holds them away from each other. So even you can have 5 wet paintings in your lid. However, as I mentioned earlier, I made the gaps between too small, and then the other thing I've discovered is that I can fit them in, but when I do put them in, it makes the lid much heavier, and because I don't have those adjustable hinges, it then does start to move. So what I will do is just keep extra canvas, and I'll just do 2 or 3 at a time. And what I intend to do, what I have done in the past, and what I intend to continue doing, is really do like 2-3 hours in the morning, and then perhaps 2-3 hours in an afternoon. So really only 2 paintings in a day. Excuse me. So that's the lid, the canvas configuration. Then I have included spaces. So you'll see from the Alla Prima, if you look into Alla Prima pochade, they have a beautiful easel arrangement, which is all adjustable, and you can fit much bigger canvases than this idea. Being what I want it for, I'm not going to take bigger canvases. I'll use the French box, and that'll be vehicle stuff if I do bigger canvases. So I made spaces. I found that if I want my canvas higher than my palette, then I put 2 different size spaces to lift up my canvas, and that works pretty well. Just put them in those slots, and it lifts up the canvas. I'll have to tighten the hinges again because they're starting to move already. So it can lift it up, and you can have it further from your palette, higher up. So it gives a little bit more adjustability, which is great. This is the idea from that Alla Prima does, and they have a lock for the drawers that is on a spring, and then when you close the lid, it pushes it down and it locks the drawer. So of course I don't have the mechanism, so I just took a nail, drilled the hole, and I put the nail in there, and then when the lid closes, it holds it in place. So it just means that I have to actually lift the nail to open the drawer, which is no schlep at all. But I really love that feature about the Alla Prima box. So if you like my box, then definitely look up Alla Prima, because theirs is just, in my opinion, like the Rolls Royce of pochade boxes. So the other probable mistake that I made, their small box, this size box of Alla Primas, has only got 1 drawer, and I think that's better, because having 2 drawers is great. I love the balance. I'm all about balance and lines. So I love the balance, having the drawers on either side. But the space is much. You're sacrificing some space, having a division in the middle inside, 2 smaller drawers, and then also the issue is with brushes and the size brushes that you can possibly fit in this box. Your palette will have wet paint, so unless you do as Alla Prima have done, they have a brush quiver on the lid. You have to do some kind of arrangement like that to keep the brushes from going into the wet paint if you keep them up top. Otherwise, what I have is just I've got short brushes, so my brushes do fit in my drawer, but the number of brushes I'll be able to take will be limited. So I've shown you the handle, the latches, the drawer handles I just made with a piece of leather and a dowel and a hole pulled through, and you can see just tied a knot in the leather on this side, and it holds it nice and tight, and that's all you need as a handle for the drawers. And then they're not big and bulky and get in the way of anything, so that works like a charm. Alrighty, so I think before I put that away, let's just show you the bags. So first of all, this is the this is the kind of day pack, and there's a little pouch. There's a pouch there for a flask, a mug type flask. It's not that big. A little pouch here for maybe a sandwich or snacks. There is enough space in the cooler itself with the pochade box inside to have extra snacks and things. So the toilet roll, of course, and then extra snacks and things that you might like to take. It's always nice to have something to snack on. So you can see there, the box is in, and there's still a lot of space that you can add a jersey, a raincoat, and some snacks. So that is ideal. Then of course the tripod would screw on, not screw on anyway. The tripod would attach just to the frame, to the chair part itself, and then I usually take an umbrella. So there's the chair, the box inside, and it has shoulder straps, so it is a backpack. It's a backpack. So with the umbrella and the tripod attached, then this would be perfect day pack to go out for the day and have food, have something warm, and be able to sit and paint anyway. So in this environment where we are, it is ideal because I can walk out of my house into the mountains and go and paint. So this will be the thing I probably use the most. My backpack, my hiking bag, would be for an overnight. So if I were going to go somewhere for a night or two, then I would take my backpack, and the backpack. This is a fairly big backpack, so it's got plenty of space. It's already got my sleeping bag, climbing rope, clothing, my normal camping clothing, heavy jacket, and so on. And then it's got an extension, so I can go even more, a lot more. So I'll put the extension down so you can see, even with what is already packed, there's food. No, not the food out. I would put it at the top to protect it from when you're hiking and you get tired and you take your bag off and you just drop it on the ground. Usually I've got my sleeping bag or soft things at the bottom. And you always want to pack a hiking bag, the heavy stuff on the top. So I would put my box on the top. So there it is. So it fits perfectly. Not too much weight, extra weight. It is obviously quite a bit more weight than you would normally be taking on a hike if you're going for a serious hike. If I'm going for a serious hike or a serious mountain climb, then I'm not going to be thinking about painting, so I won't be taking it then. So this would be for a painting camping trip. So then I don't mind extra weight, because then I won't be doing such extreme hiking. I'll just be walking from place to place to paint. So let's set up the box and show you how things fit. So for the panels, I have cut hardboard. I think it's called MDF board in the States. I've cut it to fit into the grooves of my lid, and then I'm taking canvas pad, just this A4 size canvas pad is the size, and I'm putting it on with masking tape, putting it onto the board with masking tape. Now you can just prime the board and paint on the boards, but what I've found is that you go through a lot of board and you get a lot more mileage out of canvas, and then if you're traveling, you can keep the boards in your box for the spacing, for the for in the field, the actual painting, and keeping your wet paintings separated and so on. And then when you get back to your hotel room or your lodge where you're staying or whatever, you can take the canvas off, leave those in your room. The next day, put fresh canvases on, go out again, and then when those canvases are dry, I have seen, I got that idea from a guy who did quite extensive travels and came back with a wad of paintings, which is much lighter and easier to carry than if that were the equivalent wad of boards. So I stick the canvas loosely, not glued onto the board. So I've just stuck it on with masking tape, and then that'll be a nice canvas to paint on and to be kept in the lid of the pochade box, so that they don't touch each other, and it can be wet paint and you can carry it around. And then when you get back home, you can take it off, put it one side, put another canvas on, and continue the next day. Um, and reuse the same boards over and over. So you don't need a whole bunch of boards. You only need enough boards for your box, and reuse the same. So I take the canvas pad, and I just mark it out. Well, no, I don't mark it out. I just put the board on it, and I just cut around it so that it's the exact size of the board. I don't want any folding over or anything, because then it will your space in your on the runners on your pochade box will be your board will get stuck. Make sure you have the right side. And I've got 4 to 5 millimeters in the groove, and generally about 5 millimeters is what you would have when you frame your picture in a frame. So I put the tape top and bottom also the same, 4 to 5 millimeters. I'll try and get it tight as possible. And smooth as possible, so you don't have any when you slide them into your pochade box, there's no protruding bits or pieces that are going to touch the canvases next to each other, or cause a difficulty in the grooves in your box getting them in and out. So first up is mounting it to the tripod, and you'll remember there's that grommet that I screwed into the base, and that goes onto the camera mount. That mount, so that camera mounting is too short. It doesn't come out far enough. Also, it doesn't fit that thread on the grommet. So I drilled a hole and I put a bolt that fits into the grommet and is long enough, and then so I had to just also drill a hole next to my grommet hole to accommodate the camera mounting. So that goes on there like that. Can we see that? I'm doing with one hand now, so it goes on, screws in there, and then we can load it. So there she is, all loaded up, mounted on the tripod, and now we will get some materials into her. Alrighty, so there she's all set up, and I've set the canvas at the height I quite like. In fact, the whole easel I want to drop a bit, so that the palette is kind of at elbow height. But there we have the setup. Paper towel, toilet roll on the front, easel, canvas setup, and paints, brushes. This won't go there, but I find this a very, very indispensable tool when you wanting to frame your picture, compose, not compose, what's the word? And it is very close. And this was also not, I didn't plan this. I was sent this frame for composition, compose your picture. So when you're looking at a view, it's often very difficult to really, you see the big expanse before you and it looks so beautiful. And when you try and get it a square onto a canvas, it becomes quite difficult. So having a frame to look through when you're looking at the scenes that you might want to do is invaluable. So that will just slide in there between the canvases. So these canvases are back to back so that they don't touch, and that'll just slide in there between them. So when it's all packed up, that'll be there between the canvases. And then you would, I will get smaller tubes. I do, in general, even in the studio, I use a very limited palette. So if I've got red, blue, and yellow and white, I'm happy with some burnt burnt umber, raw umber. Then should be burnt umber. Where's the burnt umber? Anyway, then I'm happy. So magenta, yellow ochre, lemon yellow, just a little bit of, and then cobalt blue, because cobalt blue is more versatile. I can use red and blue to make the ultramarine. So it's plenty. Then medium, and this side I've got a solvent, and then my little pot for my medium. So it's a little lid. A little pot will have my medium in it. So as I'm working, I can dip it in there. And then assortment of brushes. And you might think, well, what is the? These look very much like watercolor brushes, soft bristles, and it's really because that's what I enjoy, even working with oil. I work in oil. I don't know if I've ever said that. So I work in oil predominantly, and but I really like soft bristles. So and these dagger style brushes are really, really cool. They're very versatile for a wide range of uses. So you can get away with a lot with just, I've got 3 of these daggers, and you can do so much with just those 3. But then I also, I like detail, so then I need the fine rounds, and even a rigger. So yeah, I could do with a few more squares. So that's the setup. Everything I need fits. It's very compact, very small, and I can paint away with that setup very happily. I've got everything I need, and it makes it very, very mobile. Yeah. So next step is to get out in the field and have a look at actually using it. Oh, the one thing I did skip, was palette knife. So I always use a palette knife, and sometimes it speeds things up a lot when you apply the paint on the canvas with a palette knife. Yeah, I have, you can see here on my home palette knives everywhere. So I use them a lot. I also mix my own medium. So here you see 3 pots, 1, 2, and 3. So I mix uh, a first application medium, which would be more solvent than oil, and then the second stage, when the middle. So your base painting would be number 1, and then your second layer, your block in layers, will be number 2. That would be more 50-50 detergent, oil, and then number 3 would be your final detail layer, and so that'll be more oil than detergent. So to keep the drying at the rates that it should be, layer upon layer. And I like it wet. So there's um, it's spirits with linseed oil, thick linseed oil, like stand oil, and then a little bit of clove oil to retard the drying even further. So many people who work in oils don't like that. Many like to speed up the drying, So most people use liquid because that speeds up the drying. So there's different when I'm plein air, then I do want it to dry faster. But in studio, I like to work slowly and take time. So I don't have any medium. I think I've just got linseed oil in that medium bottle. But on plein air, I'll probably put liquid in there. Yeah, so that's it. We're ready to go.